A black waitress spending her rent money on some drunk white man? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Vernon Briggs threw Tiana Anderson's envelope on the floor. Cash scattered. $7 short. He stepped on a 20. Your kind always plays hero. Always ends up begging. 72 hours earlier, 2:48 a.m., the man lay face down outside Rosie's diner. Designer suit, Rolex, reeking of whiskey. Teenagers circled closer. Tiana's phone, $243. Rent tomorrow, $250. His phone. Mom. 37 missed calls. She thought of her brother, the night nobody helped. Tiana opened the rideshare app, found his address on his driver's license. Some downtown high-rise. She requested a car, waited, then helped him into the back seat. The fare to get him home safe, $200. Her rent money, gone. 3 days later, this drunk stranger would arrive at her door, and his next words would leave Tiana absolutely speechless. Present day. Morning after the eviction notice stared back at Tiana from her apartment door. Big red letters. Final warning, 48 hours. She peeled it off, crumpled it, and unlocked the door. Inside, her roommate Tanya sat at their tiny kitchen table, coffee mug frozen halfway to her lips. Please tell me you didn't... Tiana dropped her keys on the counter. I couldn't just leave him there, girl. Tanya set down her mug. You literally just used your rent money, our rent money, on some random drunk man. He wasn't random, he was... Tiana stopped. What was he? A person who needed help? Someone's son? He needed help. And now we need help. Tanya held up her own phone. I've got $180. You've got what, $7? Rent is $250 each. We're both getting evicted because you decided to play Good Samaritan at 2 in the morning. Tiana sank into the chair across from her. The apartment was small, just 2 bedrooms, a kitchen barely big enough for 2 people to stand in, a bathroom with tiles that hadn't been white in a decade. But it was home. It was safe. It was where her 16-year-old sister LaShonda could finish high school without changing districts. I'll figure something out, Tiana said quietly. How? You gonna pawn Grandma's necklace again? The words hit like a slap. Tiana had pawned their grandmother's necklace 3 months ago when LaShonda needed glasses, the only thing of value they'd inherited, gone for $180. A door opened down the hall. LaShonda emerged, backpack slung over one shoulder, earbuds in. She was tall for 16, with their mother's eyes and their father's stubborn chin. She'd been 6 when their parents died in the car accident. Tiana had been 19, barely an adult herself. Morning, LaShonda said, grabbing a granola bar from the cupboard. Morning, baby. Tiana forced a smile. LaShonda paused, studying her sister's face. You okay? Fine, just tired. You're always tired. LaShonda sat down at the table. When's the last time you slept more than 4 hours? Tiana didn't answer. Sleep was a luxury. She worked 3 jobs, breakfast and lunch shifts at Rosie's diner, evenings at the grocery store, weekends cleaning houses in the suburbs, 60 to 70 hours a week. It still wasn't enough. College applications are due soon, LaShonda said, not looking at her. I need to pay the fees. It's like $65 per school. Tiana's chest tightened. How many schools? I was thinking 5. That's $325 total. $325. It might as well have been $3,000. We'll figure it out, Tiana said, the same lie she'd been telling for years. I promise. LaShonda left for school. Tanya left for her shift at the call center. And Tiana sat alone in the kitchen staring at her phone. Bank balance, $7.14. She thought about the man from last night, the Rolex, the Italian shoes, the high-rise address. He probably spent $200 on dinner without thinking. And here she was, choosing between rent and her sister's future. Her phone buzzed. A text from Miguel, her manager at the diner. Need you for double shift today, Jenny called out. Time and a half. 16 more hours. Her feet already ached from yesterday. But time and a half meant an extra $40. She needed every cent. I'll be there in 30, she texted back. In the bathroom mirror, Tiana barely recognized herself. 24 years old, but the exhaustion made her look 30. Dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back in the same bun she'd worn for 3 days. the uniform from last night still on because she hadn't had energy to change. She thought of Aaron, her baby brother, dead at 19 because someone thought it was funny to spike his drink at a party. He'd stumbled out into the street disoriented, and nobody stopped to help. Not the kids filming him on their phones. Not the couple who stepped over him on the sidewalk. Nobody. The drunk man last night could have been Aaron. Could have been anyone's brother, anyone's son. Tiana splashed water on her face and grabbed her keys. She had $7, 48 hours, and absolutely no idea how she was going to save her home. But she'd done the right thing last night. She had to believe that mattered. Rosie's Diner, 4:30 p.m. same day. Tiana had been on her feet for 11 hours straight when Miguel pulled her aside. "Corporate called," he said, his voice low. "There's been a complaint filed against you." The tray in Tiana's hands nearly slipped. "What?" "Someone said you stole from the register. Last night's shift." Miguel wouldn't meet her eyes. "They're sending an investigator. Until then, you're suspended." "Miguel, I didn't—" "I know." He finally looked at her. "I vouched for you. But corporate doesn't care what I think. I'm sorry, Tiana. I really am." She stood there, numb, as he walked away. Suspended, no income, no way to make up the rent money. Outside, the November wind cut through her thin jacket. She pulled out her phone to call Tanya, but a different notification caught her eye. A message from her landlord, Vernon Briggs. "Heard you got suspended. Funny timing. See you tomorrow for rent. Don't be late." How did he know? She'd just found out 5 minutes ago. Tiana's apartment building, 6:15 p.m. The lobby was packed, 15 families all holding the same red notice. Eviction warning, 48 hours. Final notice, Mrs. Patterson, the elderly woman from 3B, clutched the paper with shaking hands. "I've lived here 23 years. Never missed rent once." "Same," said Destiny, a single mother with 3 kids clinging to her legs. "I paid on time. Why am I getting this?" Mr. Peterson, the Korean War veteran from 2A, stood silent in the corner, jaw tight. Tiana scanned the notices. Everyone had received them today. Everyone. "This is Horizon Development," said Nathan Davis, a young lawyer who lived in 4C. He'd been trying to organize tenants for months. "They bought the building 6 months ago. Now they want us out." "But why?" Mrs. Patterson asked. "Where are we supposed to go?" "Luxury condos." Nathan held up his phone, showing architectural renderings, glass towers, infinity pools, starting at $800,000. "They've been doing this across the city, buy low-income buildings, mass evict, flip for millions." "That's illegal," someone said. "It's technically legal," Nathan corrected. "That's the problem. They follow the letter of the law while destroying communities." Destiny's youngest started crying. She picked him up, bouncing him on her hip. "I can't afford anywhere else. Rent's doubled everywhere in the past 2 years." "That's what they're counting on," Nathan said. "They know we have nowhere to go, so we'll take whatever settlement they offer and disappear quietly." "Then what do we do?" Mr. Peterson spoke for the first time, his voice sharp. "Fight them? With what? I'm 73 years old, living on a fixed income. I can't afford a lawyer." "I'll represent you pro bono," Nathan said. "But I'll be honest, these companies have armies of lawyers, and they're connected. Judges, city council members, zoning boards, it's all rigged." Tiana thought about the text from Briggs, how he'd known about her suspension minutes after it happened, how he'd known about the drunk man last night, something she hadn't told anyone. "They're watching us," she said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. "Briggs knew I got suspended today before I even left the diner. He knew about something I did last night that nobody saw." She pulled out her phone, showing them the text. "They're tracking us somehow." Nathan's expression darkened. "Security cameras. They probably added them when Horizon took over. Facial recognition, maybe. They want dirt on everyone." "Why?" Mrs. Patterson asked. "Leverage. If they can prove we're problem tenants, late on rent, criminal activity, whatever they can fabricate, it makes the eviction easier to justify. Less pushback from housing advocates." Tiana felt sick. She'd used her rent money to help someone, and now it was being weaponized against her. "We should fight back," Mr. Peterson said suddenly. "I didn't survive Korea to get pushed around by some real estate vultures." "With what?" Destiny shifted her crying child. "I can't risk my kids. If I lose this place, we're homeless. CPS will take them." The fight drained from the room. These weren't revolutionaries. They were exhausted people barely surviving, one emergency away from catastrophe. Tiana looked around at her neighbors, people she'd lived beside for 6 years but barely knew. The system was designed to keep them isolated, too tired to organize, too scared to resist. "How much time do we have?" she asked Nathan. "Legally, 48 hours. Realistically, I can file an emergency injunction, maybe buy us 2 weeks. But after that..." He shook his head. "I'm sorry. I really am. 2 weeks, 14 days to find a miracle." Tiana thought of the drunk man again, his expensive watch, his downtown address, the 37 missed calls from Mom. People like him didn't worry about evictions. People like him probably owned buildings like this. The divide had never felt wider. Morrison penthouse downtown, same evening. Blake Morrison woke up in his childhood bedroom with the worst headache of his life, again. His mouth tasted like regret and expensive whiskey. His phone was missing, and his mother stood in the doorway, arms crossed, looking exactly as terrifying as she had when he was 16 and she'd caught him sneaking back in at 3 a.m. "How are you feeling?" Senator Eleanor Morrison asked, her voice carefully neutral. "Like I got hit by a truck." "You got drunk at a political fundraiser, my political fundraiser, and disappeared for 4 hours." She stepped into the room. "Do you remember anything?" Blake closed his eyes, trying to piece together the fragments. The fundraiser, too many drinks, feeling overwhelmed, needing air, walking, more drinking. Then, nothing. Just darkness and the vague memory of a woman's voice saying, "You're going to be okay." "I remember leaving," he said finally. "That's it. Blake." His mother sat on the edge of the bed. "This is the 3rd time in 6 months. The drinking is getting worse. I know. You need help. I know. I've scheduled you for rehab. You check in Monday." Blake nodded. He should feel something. Shame, resistance, relief. Instead, he just felt empty. "There's something else," Eleanor said. "Someone helped you last night. Got you home safe. We don't know who." "What do you mean?" She pulled up security footage on her tablet. Grainy, nighttime quality, but clear enough. A woman in a diner uniform, kneeling beside him on a sidewalk, helping him into a car. The angle didn't catch her face. The Uber driver said a woman ordered the ride, paid $200 out of pocket, and gave him your address. She kept your phone to make sure you got home. Blake stared at the screen. $200 for a complete stranger. "Who is she?" "We're working on it. The Uber driver had a dash cam." Eleanor zoomed in on the reflection in the car window. Partial face, dark skin, tired eyes. "We'll find her." "Why?" "Because she saved your life, Blake. And because..." Eleanor's voice softened. "I want to thank her. People don't do things like that anymore." 3 days later, they had a name. Tiana Anderson, 24, lives in Southside, works 3 jobs, no criminal record. Blake read the background check twice. The grocery store, the diner, Rosie's, where he'd been found, weekend cleaning service, all minimum wage. "She used her rent money," Eleanor said quietly. "The Uber cost $200. She had $243 in her account. Her rent is $250. Blake looked up. "She's getting evicted." "Probably. The report says her building is owned by Horizon Development." The name made Eleanor's expression harden. Blake knew that look. It was the same one she got when someone mentioned corporate lobbying or housing discrimination or any of the dozen issues she'd built her career fighting against. "Horizon Development," she repeated. "James Rutherford's company. The guy you've been investigating? For 2 years. Corruption, bribery, housing fraud. We're close to having enough for federal charges." Eleanor stood. "This woman, Tiana, lives in one of his buildings, which means she's probably getting evicted as part of his gentrification scheme." Blake felt something twist in his chest. This woman had sacrificed everything to help him, and now she was losing her home because of it. "We need to find her," he said. "We will." Eleanor headed for the door, then paused. "Blake? When we do find her, what she did for you, that matters. Don't waste it." The next morning, a black SUV with government plates pulled up to Tiana's building. Tiana's apartment. 10 a.m., 3 days after. The knock on the door was professional, firm, not the aggressive pounding of Vernon Briggs. Tiana looked through the peephole and froze. 2 people stood in the hallway. A white man in his 30s, expensive suit looking uncomfortable, and a woman, older, elegant, the kind of person who commanded rooms just by walking into them. Behind them, two men in dark suits. Security. "Miss Anderson?" The woman called through the door. "My name is Eleanor Morrison. I'd like to speak with you about what happened 3 nights ago." Tiana's hand shook on the doorknob. Morrison. That name was familiar. She'd seen it on the news. Senator something. Anti-corruption, always fighting someone. She opened the door. "I'm sorry to arrive unannounced," Senator Morrison said. "But we've been looking for you. This is my son, Blake." Blake, the name from the phone. The 37 missed calls. Tiana looked at the man, really looked at him, and recognition hit like lightning. The drunk man, cleaned up, sober, standing in her hallway looking absolutely mortified. "You," she whispered. "I'm so sorry," Blake said immediately. "I'm so sorry. What I put you through, how did you find me?" Senator Morrison stepped forward. "The Uber driver had a dashcam. We tracked the ride. Miss Anderson, what you did for my son. There are no words. You saved his life." Tiana glanced down the hallway. Neighbors were watching through cracked doors. This was going to be all over the building in 10 minutes. "You should come in," she said quietly. The apartment felt even smaller with 4 extra people in it. The security detail stayed by the door. Blake and Senator Morrison sat on the worn couch, looking completely out of place. "I want to return your phone," Tiana said, retrieving it from her room. "The battery died. I was going to drop it at the police station, but you've been working," Senator Morrison finished. "Miss Anderson, may I ask? The Uber ride cost $200. Your rent is $250. You used your rent money to help my son?" Tiana's cheeks burned. "I couldn't just leave him there." "Most people would have," Blake said quietly. "Most people did. I saw the dashcam footage. At least a dozen people walked past me before you stopped." "I lost my brother 5 years ago," Tiana said. "Similar situation. Nobody helped. I just couldn't walk away." The room went silent. Senator Morrison reached into her purse and pulled out a checkbook. "I want to compensate you for what you lost. The $200 plus lost wages plus no." The word came out harder than Tiana intended. "I didn't do it for money. I understand, but I'm not a charity case." Tiana stood. "I'm glad your son is okay, but I don't need a reward for doing the right thing." Blake looked at his mother, then back at Tiana. "I have a drinking problem," he said suddenly. "I've been struggling with it for 3 years. That night was bad, really bad. I don't remember most of it, but I remember your voice. You said, 'You're going to be okay,' and I believed you." Tiana's throat tightened. "I'm entering rehab on Monday," Blake continued. 28 days. "And when I get out, I'm going to do better, be better, because of you." "I'm glad," Tiana said softly. "I really am." There was a knock on the apartment door. Tiana opened it to find Tanya, eyes wide. "Girl, there are government cars outside. What is—" Tanya stopped, seeing the senator. "Oh my God." "It's okay," Tiana said. They're just leaving." "Actually," Senator Morrison said, "I need to ask you something. Your landlord, Vernon Briggs, he works for Horizon Development, correct?" Tiana nodded slowly. "How long have you lived here?" 6 years? And you're being evicted?" "We all are. 15 families. They're tearing down the building for condos." Senator Morrison and Blake exchanged a look. "Miss Anderson," the senator said carefully, "Horizon Development is currently under federal investigation for housing fraud, bribery, and corruption. I've been building a case against them for 2 years, but investigations take time, and while we're gathering evidence, people like you lose their homes." "So what are you saying?" "I'm saying I want to help. Not as charity, as justice. You helped my son when you had every reason to walk away. Let me use my resources to fight for you." "Just me?" Tiana asked. "Or everyone in the building?" "Everyone." Tiana looked at Tanya, who nodded almost imperceptibly. "What would that look like?" Tiana asked. "My legal team files an emergency injunction, buys you 2 weeks, maybe more. During that time, we investigate, find evidence, build a case strong enough to not just stop your eviction, but expose the entire operation. And if you don't find anything in 2 weeks, then you're no worse off than you are now," Blake said. "But if we do, we could save dozens of families, maybe hundreds across the city." Tiana thought of Mrs. Patterson, of Destiny's 3 kids, of Mr. Peterson, 73 years old with nowhere to go. "What do you need from me?" she asked. "Information, names, documents, anything that shows a pattern of illegal activity." "I don't have documents, but you have neighbors who've been here longer," Senator Morrison said. "People who've seen things, noticed patterns. That's where investigations start, with people willing to talk." Blake pulled out his wallet. "I know you won't take a check, but please, at least let me cover the $200 for the Uber. It's not charity, it's just paying you back." Tiana looked at the cash in his hand. Her pride screamed no. Her bank account, currently at $7.14, screamed yes. "I'll take it as a loan," she said finally. "When this is over, I'll pay you back." Blake smiled. "Deal." "There's one more thing," Senator Morrison said. "This is going to get ugly. Horizon Development doesn't like being investigated. They'll fight back. They might come after you specifically because you're helping us. Are you prepared for that?" Tiana thought about Briggs's text, the suspension at work, the way he'd known things he shouldn't. "They're already coming after me," she said. "Might as well fight back." Senator Morrison stood, extending her hand. "Then we have a deal." They shook on it. As the senator and Blake left, Tanya grabbed Tiana's arm. "Do you realize what just happened?" she whispered. "That's Senator Eleanor Morrison. She's like the most powerful woman in the state, and she just offered to help us." "I know. This is insane. I know." "What did you do, Tiana?" Tiana looked at the $200 Blake had left on the counter. Enough to make rent. Enough to buy them time. "I just helped someone," she said quietly. "That's all." But even as she said it, she knew it was more than that. She'd helped the right person. 1 week later. The emergency injunction came through in 4 days. Nathan Davis filed the paperwork with backing from Senator Morrison's legal team, and suddenly 15 families had breathing room. 2 weeks, that's all the judge would give them. But it was 2 weeks more than they'd had before. Tiana sat in Senator Morrison's downtown office, feeling completely out of place. The building had marble floors, security that required 3 forms of ID, views of the city that made her neighborhood look like a different planet. "Coffee?" Blake asked, appearing with 2 cups from the break room. "Thanks." Tiana took it, grateful for something to do with her hands. He'd been sober for 9 days now. She could see the difference, clearer eyes, steadier hands. He'd been coming to meetings with her and Nathan, learning about the community, taking notes like he was studying for an exam. "My mom wants you to consider law school," Blake said, sitting across from her. Tiana nearly choked on her coffee. "What?" "She was impressed by your questions yesterday, the way you connected the dots between Briggs's threats and the surveillance cameras." He smiled. "She said you think like a prosecutor." "I can't afford college, let alone law school." "Not now," Blake said, "but after this is over, there are scholarships, programs. I could help you research them." Tiana set down her cup. "Why are you doing this?" "Doing what?" "All of it. The meetings, the research. You could have just written a check and moved on." Blake was quiet for a moment. "I've been sober 8 days. Longest I've managed in 2 years. Every time I want a drink, and I do, constantly, I think about you finding me on that sidewalk. How you didn't judge me. Didn't record me for social media. Didn't walk away. You just helped." He looked at her directly. "You treated me like a human being when I didn't deserve it. So yeah, I'm showing up. Because you showed me what it means to actually give a damn about people." Before Tiana could respond, Senator Morrison entered with Nathan and a woman in an FBI jacket. "We have a problem," the senator said. "Horizon Development knows we're investigating, and they're preparing to fight back." The temporary stability had just ended. The next day, Rosie's diner. Miguel's face said everything before he spoke. "Corporate's flying someone in to conduct the investigation. They'll be here tomorrow morning." He handed Tiana an envelope. "This is your formal suspension letter. I'm sorry." Tiana stared at the paper. Unpaid leave. Pending investigation of theft allegations. Return to work contingent on outcome. "Who filed the complaint?" she asked. "Anonymous tip line. They won't tell me." But Tiana already knew. Briggs, or someone working for Horizon. That evening, her car wouldn't start. She popped the hood to find sugar in her gas tank. A mechanic quoted her $800 to fix it. She took the bus home. 3 days later, LaShonda was quiet at dinner. Too quiet. "What's wrong?" Tiana asked. Her sister pushed food around her plate. "Some men followed me home from school today." Tiana's blood ran cold. "What men?" "I don't know. They didn't do anything, just walked behind me for like 6 blocks, taking pictures." "Did you call the police?" "And tell them what? 2 white guys walked on the same sidewalk as me?" LaShonda's voice cracked. "What's happening, Tiana? Why are people watching us?" Tiana wanted to lie, to say everything was fine, but LaShonda was 16, not 6. She deserved the truth. "I'm helping Senator Morrison investigate the company that owns our building. They're trying to scare me into backing off." "Is it working?" Tiana looked at her little sister, the only family she had left, and felt fear and fury war in her chest. "No," she said, "it's not." But that night, lying awake, she wasn't so sure. Day 7 of the injunction, Vernon Briggs showed up at noon with someone new, a man in an expensive suit who introduced himself as James Rutherford, CEO of Horizon Development. "Miss Anderson," Rutherford said, his voice smooth, "I understand you've been working with Senator Morrison." Tiana didn't answer. "I want to make you an offer, $10,000 cash, a letter of recommendation, and we'll drop the theft allegations at your workplace." He smiled. "All you have to do is convince your neighbors to accept our buyout and drop the lawsuit." "And if I don't?" "Then we proceed with the theft charges. You'll have a criminal record. Your sister's college applications? That's going to be difficult to fund from prison." Tiana felt Tanya's hand grab her arm, holding her back. "You're threatening me," Tiana said quietly. "I'm offering you a way out," Rutherford corrected. "You seem like a smart woman, Miss Anderson. Smart enough to know when you're outmatched. We have lawyers, judges, resources you can't imagine. You have a public defender and a senator who's about to lose her investigation." "What do you mean?" Rutherford pulled out his phone, showing her photos. Blake, drunk, from the night she found him, and others. Older photos, different locations, different nights, all showing him intoxicated. "Senator Morrison's son has a drinking problem," Rutherford said. "If these photos go public, along with a story about how the senator covered it up to protect her career, well, her investigation ends, her credibility ends, and you lose your only powerful ally." "Blake's getting help," Tiana said. "He's in treatment." "Is he? Because our private investigator says otherwise." Rutherford zoomed in on a date stamp, 3 days ago. This was taken outside a bar in Georgetown, funny place for someone supposedly in rehab. Tiana's stomach dropped. Blake had been at meetings with her 3 days ago, unless... "You doctored these photos." "Prove it." Rutherford pocketed his phone. "You have until Friday. Take the deal or watch everything burn." After they left, Tiana collapsed on the couch. "They're going to win," Tanya said. "They have too much power. We can't give up." "Why not? $10,000, Tiana. We could start over somewhere else, get away from all this." "And what about everyone else? Mrs. Patterson? Mr. Peterson? Destiny's kids?" "What about LaShonda?" Tanya shot back. "What about us? You're risking everything for people you barely know. Because it's right. And when right gets us killed?" Tiana didn't have an answer. Day 10. The community meeting was smaller this time. Only 8 families showed up. "Where is everyone?" Nathan asked. "They took the deals," Mrs. Patterson said quietly. "Horizon offered $5,000 per family. Most of them accepted." "That's not enough to find new housing," Nathan said. "They know, but $5,000 now is better than nothing later." She looked at Tiana. "People are scared. After what happened to you, the suspension, your car, your sister being followed, they don't want to be next." Mr. Peterson stood. "I'm not taking their blood money." "Me neither," said Destiny, though her voice shook. But Tiana could see the fear, could feel the cracks spreading. "They're breaking us," she said. "That's the strategy. Pick us off one by one until there's nobody left to fight." "So what do we do?" Mr. Peterson asked. Tiana pulled out her phone and called Senator Morrison. Morrison's office, late night. "They're going to release the photos," Senator Morrison said, setting down her own phone. "My press secretary just got a courtesy call from a reporter. The story runs tomorrow unless we comment." "Can you stop it?" Blake asked. No. Once they've sent it to the press, it's out there. Eleanor looked at her son. This is what I was afraid of. They're using your struggle as a weapon. Then we neutralize it, Blake said. How? We release the photos ourselves, tonight, with my statement. Senator Morrison stared at him. Blake, once this is public, I know. But if we control the narrative, we take away their leverage. Blake turned to Tiana. You asked me once why I'm doing this? Why I keep showing up? This is why. Because hiding got me nowhere. But truth might actually change something. Your privacy, Eleanor began, is less important than people's homes, Blake finished. Mom, you taught me that. Now let me prove I learned it. 2 hours later, Blake Morrison's statement went live on social media. The photos, the truth about his alcoholism, his treatment, and most importantly, his decision to speak publicly to prevent a corrupt corporation from using his private struggle for blackmail. By morning, it had gone viral, and Horizon Development's leverage had turned to ash. The next morning, Tiana's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. The news was everywhere. Blake's statement had been picked up by national outlets. #Justice for Blake was trending. #Horizon Corruption right behind it. And Senator Morrison was on every morning show, pivoting from her son's story to the broader investigation. Horizon Development tried to weaponize my son's private health struggles to silence an investigation into housing fraud, she told one interviewer. That tells you everything you need to know about how these corporations operate. But the real breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Downtown, secure FBI conference room, Richard Caldwell looked like a man who hadn't slept in days. He was a board member at Horizon Development, and according to the FBI agent leading the meeting, he'd requested immunity in exchange for testimony. I didn't sign up for this, Caldwell said, hands shaking. When I joined the board 5 years ago, it was supposed to be legitimate development, affordable housing initiatives, community partnerships. What changed? Senator Morrison asked. James Rutherford bought out the other major shareholders 3 years ago. That's when it became about profit at any cost. Bribing judges, threatening tenants, falsifying inspection reports to condemn buildings that were perfectly sound. Can you prove it? The FBI agent asked. Caldwell pulled out a flash drive. Financial records, emails, wire transfers to offshore accounts, recordings of board meetings where Rutherford explicitly discussed bribing city officials. Why are you coming forward now? Blake asked. Because I saw what they did to you, to Miss Anderson. Caldwell looked at Tiana. I have a daughter your age. If someone did to her what Rutherford's doing to you, I couldn't live with myself for being part of it. The FBI agent took the flash drive. This is enough for warrants. There's one more thing, Caldwell said. Rutherford's meeting with his legal team and city council members tomorrow at 3 p.m., his office. I'm supposed to be there. Senator Morrison leaned forward. Would you wear a wire? The next day, 3 p.m. Tiana sat in the FBI surveillance van watching the monitor as Caldwell entered Rutherford's office building. She wasn't supposed to be there. Blake had argued for her inclusion as a community representative, and somehow the FBI had agreed. Audio check, the tech agent said. Caldwell's voice came through clear. Sorry I'm late. Doesn't matter, Rutherford's voice answered. We're just wrapping up. Morrison's investigation is dead in the water. Her son's addiction story killed her credibility, and our friends on the city council are ready to fast-track our permits. What about the tenants still fighting? What about them? We've got judges in our pocket. Senator Morrison is damaged goods, and that Anderson woman is about to be arrested for theft. Once she's in custody, the others will fold. Tiana's hands clenched. You're really going to arrest her? Caldwell asked. On false charges? False? Rutherford laughed. Caldwell, we own the security footage. We own the witnesses. Truth is whatever we say it is. That's how power works. And the senator? She's smart. Once the Anderson woman is arrested and her credibility is shot, Morrison will know when to back off. Politicians always protect their careers first. What if she doesn't back off? Then we release Phase 2. There was a rustling of papers. We've got dirt on 3 of her senior staffers. Finances, affairs, you name it. By the time we're done, her entire office will be under investigation. She'll be too busy defending her people to come after us. Beside Tiana, Senator Morrison's expression was ice. How many other buildings are you planning to clear? Caldwell asked. 12 in the next 6 months. We've already lined up the buyers. Should net us about 40 million in profit, maybe more. Rutherford's voice was casual, like he was discussing the weather. This city's changing, Richard. People like Anderson, they don't belong here anymore. We're just helping evolution along. That's enough, the FBI agent said into the radio. Move in. Through the monitor, Tiana watched FBI agents swarm into the building. Watched James Rutherford's face go white as they read him his rights. Watched the man who'd tried to destroy her community get led away in handcuffs. We got him, Senator Morrison said quietly. We actually got him. But Tiana was already thinking about what came next. Getting Rutherford was just the beginning. 2 days later, press conference, City Hall. Senator Eleanor Morrison stood at the podium, cameras flashing. Behind her, FBI Director Chen, the district attorney, and 3 city council members who'd miraculously discovered their integrity overnight. This morning, federal agents arrested James Rutherford, CEO of Horizon Development, along with 14 co-conspirators, including property managers, city inspectors, and 2 judges. The charges include bribery, housing fraud, conspiracy, and racketeering. The crowd erupted. Tiana watched from the side of the room, Blake beside her. This investigation began 2 years ago, Senator Morrison continued, but it accelerated 3 weeks ago thanks to the courage of one woman, Miss Tiana Anderson. Would you please join me? Tiana's heart stopped. What? Blake gently pushed her forward. Go. Somehow, Tiana's legs carried her to the podium. The cameras turned on her like searchlights. This woman, Senator Morrison said, works 3 jobs just to survive. She lives in a building that Horizon Development was trying to illegally clear. She was threatened, harassed, and targeted for retaliation, and she refused to back down. The senator's voice strengthened. Miss Anderson spent her rent money she couldn't afford to lose, to help a stranger in need. When powerful men tried to silence her, she stood firm. She organized her community. She provided critical information that helped federal investigators build this case. She is exactly the kind of citizen that makes our democracy work. Tiana felt tears burning behind her eyes. Miss Anderson, would you like to say anything? Tiana looked out at the crowd, at the reporters, at the cameras, at Mrs. Patterson and Mr. Peterson and Destiny sitting in the front row with her 3 kids. No one should lose their home because someone with money decided they want that land, she said, her voice shaking at first but growing stronger. We have a right to exist, to have homes, to raise our families. We're not problems to be cleared away. We're people. The room erupted in applause. Emergency court hearing. 2 hours later, Judge Sarah Martinez looked nothing like the corrupt judges Horizon had bought. She was stern, thorough, and clearly furious as she reviewed the evidence. I've read the FBI's report, she said. The level of corruption detailed here is staggering. Mr. Rutherford, your company systematically targeted low-income residents, fabricated code violations, bribed city officials, and threatened witnesses. Rutherford's lawyer stood. Your Honor, your client is going to federal prison. Judge Martinez cut him off. The only question is for how long. Now, regarding the emergency motion before me, the eviction proceedings against the residents of 447 South Street are hereby vacated. All related eviction notices across Horizon Development properties, and I count 37 buildings, are suspended pending full investigation. Destiny started crying. Mrs. Patterson grabbed Tiana's hand. Furthermore, Judge Martinez continued, Horizon Development is ordered to sell all residential properties to the City Housing Authority at original purchase price, not current market value. The inflated value was achieved through illegal means and will not be rewarded. Your Honor, Rutherford's lawyer tried again. That's justice, the judge finished. That's what it is. This court is adjourned. The courtroom exploded. Outside the courthouse, Tiana was immediately surrounded, neighbors hugging her. Reporters shouting questions, Nathan Davis pumping his fist in the air. We won, he kept saying. We actually won. Mr. Peterson stood at attention and saluted her. You're a real hero, young lady. I'm not a hero, Tiana said. You fought when we wanted to give up, Mrs. Patterson interrupted, tears streaming down her face. My grandbabies get to visit me in the home they've always known because of you. Destiny pushed through the crowd with her kids. We get to stay. We get to stay. She was sobbing. Thank you. Thank you. Blake appeared at Tiana's elbow. There's someone else who wants to talk to you. He led her to a quieter corner where Senator Morrison waited. The FBI is recommending federal charges against 19 individuals, the senator said. Vernon Briggs has already agreed to testify in exchange for a reduced sentence, and the diner, Rosie's corporate office, called. The theft allegations have been retracted. You're reinstated with back pay and a promotion to shift supervisor. Tiana felt lightheaded. A promotion? Miguel vouched for you. Apparently so did every regular customer. Senator Morrison smiled. But there's something else. She handed Tiana a folder. What is this? Open it. Inside, a scholarship letter. Full tuition to State University, housing stipend, book allowance, 4 years, everything covered. I don't understand. It's not from me, Senator Morrison said quickly. Blake and I can't give you scholarship money. It would look like payment for testimony, but there are people who believe in what you did. Community groups, foundations, they set up a fund. You earned this, Tiana. The day you helped my son, the day you stood up for your neighbors, the day you refused to be bought. Tiana stared at the letter. College. Real college. There's one condition, Senator Morrison added. You have to major in something. Anything. But the donors specifically requested you consider social work or law. They think, we all think, you'd be excellent at fighting for people who can't fight for themselves. I can't. Tiana's voice broke. This is too much. It's recognition, Blake said. That's all. You changed my life. You changed your community. This is just the world saying thank you. LaShonda appeared, running toward her sister. Did you see the news? We're famous. You're famous. Tiana caught her sister in a hug, and suddenly she was crying. Huge, gasping sobs that she'd been holding back for weeks. I thought we were going to lose everything, she whispered. But we didn't, LaShonda said, because you fought. That evening, Tiana's neighborhood threw a block party. Someone set up a grill. Someone else brought speakers. Kids played in the street like they hadn't in years, like they knew somehow that they were safe now. Mrs. Patterson brought her famous potato salad. Mr. Peterson told war stories. Destiny's kids ran circles around everyone. And Tiana Anderson, the black waitress who'd spent her rent money on a drunk stranger, stood in the middle of it all and realized something important. Kindness wasn't weakness. Standing up wasn't radical. It was human. And when people fought for each other, everyone rose. 6 months later, State University campus. Tiana walked across campus with her sociology textbook tucked under her arm, still not quite believing this was her life now. College, real college, with a dorm room and meal plan and everything. LaShonda had gotten her acceptance letter last month. Same school, full scholarship. They'd cried together for an hour. Tiana! She turned to see Blake jogging toward her, coffee cups in hand. He'd been sober for 6 months now. Started a nonprofit focused on housing justice and addiction recovery. Came to campus once a week to guest lecture in Nathan Davis's community organizing class. For you, he said, handing her a cup. I thought you might need caffeine before your criminal justice exam. You remembered? Of course. How's the studying going? Good. Professor Chen says I have a real knack for legal analysis. Professor Chen is right. Blake walked with her toward the library. My mom wanted me to ask if you'd consider a summer internship, her office, working on housing policy reform. Tiana stopped walking. Seriously? Paid internship, and it would look great on law school applications. I haven't even decided if I'm going to law school. You will, Blake said confidently. You're going to be an amazing lawyer, terrifying in court, the kind prosecutors warn each other about. Tiana laughed. It felt good, easy. 6 months ago, laughing had felt impossible. Community Center opening, 2 weeks later. The Morrison Anderson Community Center sat where the old condemned building had been, the one Horizon Development had falsified reports about. The city had torn it down and rebuilt it properly. Computer lab, after-school programs, free legal aid clinic. Senator Morrison cut the ribbon. Blake gave a speech about second chances. Nathan Davis announced he was running for city council. And Tiana stood with her neighbors, the ones who'd fought and won, and felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. You did this, Mrs. Patterson said, squeezing her hand. We did this, Tiana corrected. Together. That night, she returned to the spot where she'd found Blake. The sidewalk outside Rosie's diner. Someone had scratched graffiti into the concrete. One act of kindness changes everything. Tiana smiled. People asked her all the time if she'd do it again. Spend her rent money on a drunk stranger. Risk everything. The answer was always yes. Because that night, that one decision had changed hundreds of lives, including hers. Senator Morrison appeared beside her, surprising Tiana. "I wanted you to hear this first," the senator said. "The housing protection bill passed. 47 states are adopting similar legislation. It's being called the Anderson Act." Tiana felt tears well up. "Justice isn't a gift," Senator Morrison said softly. "It's a right we fight for together." And Tiana Anderson, who'd once had $7 in her bank account and a heart too big for the cruelty of the world, nodded. She'd learned that lesson well. 5 years later, text on screen, Tiana Anderson graduated summa cum laude with degrees in social work and political science. She earned her law degree from Georgetown and now runs the Anderson Center for Housing Justice, serving over 5,000 families annually. Blake Morrison celebrated 5 years of sobriety. He founded the Second Chance Foundation, which provides emergency assistance to Good Samaritans facing hardship and funds addiction recovery programs nationwide. Senator Eleanor Morrison successfully passed the National Housing Protection Act. All 50 states adopted the legislation, protecting millions of low-income residents from predatory development practices. The Morrison-Anderson Community Center now has 12 locations across the country, providing legal aid, job training, and educational support to underserved communities. James Rutherford and 14 co-conspirators received federal prison sentences totaling 127 years. Vernon Briggs served 3 years. Upon release, he now works in tenant advocacy, helping families navigate housing rights, a different kind of second chance. Tiana taught us that power isn't about position, it's about principle. When we choose kindness, we change the world. Have you ever witnessed an extraordinary act of kindness? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might inspire someone else to help. And if this story moved you, please like and subscribe for more real-life stories of everyday heroes changing the world. Because sometimes the smallest act of compassion creates the biggest impact.